so we need to do that now, don't we?
Mr. Would you make a motion to amend the agenda to pull two policies off of the, just those two, and I'll give you the name once we get to it, just say that. You can do it. Yes, sir. Once Mr. Allen says.
So, do I have a motion to adjust the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to pull two items from the policies in the consent agenda
Okay,
to discuss or review.
okay, all right.
What's the motion?
We're pulling two of the policies that we to discuss.
Yes.
Second.
With that discussion, if I may, Mr. Chairman, we'd like to come back for full discussion and approve those, ask for the board's approval in May.
Okay,
Thank you, sorry.
all right, we had a motion and a second. Ms. Jones?
Yes.
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 Yes. All right, item 2A, recognition of boys swim state championship.
Mr. Chairman, I think we have one of our swim coaches here that says this has been 40 years in the making, but we are 45 years. I stand corrected. 45 years in the making. That we are so proud and honored tonight to recognize our boys swim team as the 2023 VHSL AA state champions. Now, while it takes an entire team to pull off a team state championship, obviously, I did want to share with you some of the individual honors that led to the success of this team. And so we actually had, these athletes were named All-Region: Austin Coleman in the 200 IM, the 200 medley relay, the 200 free relay, the 400 free relay, and we were also district and region champions. If I'm saying that, and we also had Gage Coleman, who was all-region in the 200 free, the 100 free, the 200 free relay, the 400 free relay, and then obviously district and region team champions. Elijah Fricker was all-region in the 200 free, the 500 free, district and region team champions. Adam Horosky was all-region in the 100 fly, the 500 free, the 200 medley relay, the 400 free relay. He was the co-region and the district swimmer of the year, and also part of those district and regional team championships. Wilson Hartley is the district and part of those district and region team championships. Brody Jones, who was new to swimming this year, was all-region in the 50 free, the 200 medley relay, the 200 free relay, part of those district and region team champions. Carter Kerr was all-region in the 200 intermediate, the 100 back, the 200 medley relay, the 400 free relay, and obviously district and region team champions. Justin Mai was part of those district and region team championships. Braden Meredith was all-region in diving, the 200 free relay, the district and region team championships. Is Braden with us tonight? Okay, he's got a baseball game, but I also want to recognize Braden for being an individual diving state champion. He also set a new VHSL AA state record in diving, surpassing a former Bearcat who held that record prior to that too. So that was quite an accomplishment for Braden. Caden Price was also part of the district and region team champions. And then Carter Price was all-region in the 200 free and part of those district and region team championships. All-state, we had Adam Horosky, who was all-state in the 100 fly and the 500 free. And, of course, I've already mentioned Braden Meredith. Also, we'd be remiss if we didn't recognize our two coaches who are here with us tonight. And I'd like to ask them to come up and see if they would like to share a word before we bring everybody up for their certificates. Molly, don't act like you're speechless. You've never been. Coach Woody obviously is thrilled to death about his state championship team. Anyway, it just
Molly's going to come give a brief history of
the 44.
No, I mean, this was so exciting. We knocked on the door for several years, and the fact that we were able to finally do it, it was just an incredible year. It was exciting when we finally figured it out after the 100 backstroke. And Brad wanted to announce it, and I'm like, no, I want to make sure we have it in our hands before they announce it at the basketball game. But it was an exciting day, long day, but exciting day.
That doesn't happen without a tremendous amount of hard work. And because I always like to butter up the board, and if we would not have made those improvements to the swimming pool last year, that would have never happened. So your leadership is part of that. Overall success. That's well done. I will say, when you invest in your kids, you can't go wrong. Good things happen, and this is a testimony to that as well. So with that, I would like to call up so we can get a picture of you guys with our school board, Austin Coleman. All right, Gage Coleman. You want to do that? All right, you can. Elijah Fricker. Adam Horoski. Wilson Hartley. Brody Jones. Carter Kerr. Justin Mai. Braden Meredith, Caden Price, here you go, Woody, Carter Price, and of course, coaches Woody Van Nostrand and Molly Bull. Thank you, sir. Here's yours. Coach. Oh, gotcha. I was sorry. Yeah, I apologize for that. All right, so parents, we'll leave them up here for a minute so you can take photos. Brody, take a knee. Hey, board, y'all go to the top row there, school board members. There you go. All right, now we got you. Mr. Harper, do you want to give us an update on the Mr. Harper, do you want to give us an update on state championship rings for these fellas?
Hey, Doctor.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to say one thing. Team, I just want you all to remember you're a state champion, and nobody can ever take that away from you, no matter what happens from here on out. I was a state champion in 1977, and it seems like yesterday, and I still put it on my resume. But congratulations, and it's something that will stick with you for your life. And
Yes.
then both coaches, I see them over there. It doesn't matter if it's the weekend or in the evening or mornings. I see Woody and Miss Boyle all hours of the day, and I really commend them. I know they do work that is beyond.
I do have one other thing to add. Every single one of these boys, swimming's not the only sport they do. I don't think there's one of them that's between band, football, baseball, soccer, track, cross country. They all participate in other sports. So the other coaches have been willing to work with us, which has made it nice. And for us to be able to accomplish this and working around schedules with band and everything, it gets difficult, but they've been willing to work with us, which has been very nice. And a school our size, we need to be able to do that. So they deserve some of the credit too, because they've been willing to amend schedules for us along the way as well.
I want to thank the coaches for coaching these young men. And Molly, you've been around for a while. She coached my son Wilton to the state champion diving. But fellows, congratulations, and obviously they can't take it away from you. You got it.
Again, on behalf of everybody, let's give one more round of applause to these young men and their coaches.
I'd like to say one more thing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's
Mr.
okay.
Chairman. I'm sorry.
That's all right. So Molly said she's been around 44 years. I almost feel like I have through my wife. We were in high school when they built the pool, and Cindy she's on swim team before we even had a pool. But she, being and having students, children that swam, my kids were swimmers, and the one thing we lacked, and I believe we could have been state champions if we had more athletes come from other sports. At that time we only had 6 or 7 boys swim, and you're not going to compete on a state level with that few numbers. So, right, that's true too. Yeah, and also, Molly, I appreciate what you've done to make that a little more equitable for our size school to compete on schools our size instead of going against the 3A schools. So, right. But I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all.
I won't do that again. All right, fair enough. Well, sorry about that. Congratulations again. Thank you guys for coming. You're welcome to stay. It's all downhill after this, though, I promise. But we do have one more recognition of a Virginia high school athlete. Miss Tashia Skinner is the 55-meter indoor state champion. She couldn't be here with us tonight, but we'd be remiss not to recognize her as well. It's my understanding that currently in outdoor track, she has the #1 time in the 100-meter and the 200-meter as well. So we will try, if we can't get her here for the indoor track state championship, we hope to bring her back for outdoor track state championship. So even though she's not here, let's give Tashia a round of applause as well.
And she is a sophomore?
Sophomore.
Yeah.
She can fly. So, all right. Mr. Chairman, that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, let's move on to item 3A, School Board Student Representative Report.
On Thursday, March 23rd, Governor Glenn Youngkin visited Virginia High School, and the 4 of us got to give him a tour of the school. He was particularly interested in the CTE department, specifically the VR lab in the early childhood classroom.
After the tour, the governor, Secretary of Public Health John Little, Delegate Israel O'Quinn, and Senator Todd Pillen held an assembly where they discussed mental health and fentanyl awareness. A few of the individuals gave their testimonies, and several students had the chance to ask the panel questions.
On the same day that Governor Youngkin came to the high school, students from Miss Russell's dual enrollment environmental science class went to Abingdon to watch the signing of several environmental bills. This opportunity allowed the students to learn more about the legislative process and connect what they are learning in the class with current legislation regarding energy in Southwest Virginia.
Last week, Virginia High held their annual Spring Festival. Students representing various clubs and organizations had the chance to walk and compete for the title of Miss or Mr. or Miss Virginia High. Senior Brody Jones was crowned Mr. Virginia High, while junior McKinley Tucker was crowned Miss Virginia High.
We had career fair at the high school on Tuesday, March 28th. The whole student body was given an opportunity to walk to different booths and talk about various careers. Guests from the medical field, law enforcement, and representatives from the trade from the trade schools in the area came to discuss their careers with the students.
We also had the Mamma Mia musical that the drama department had last week. They had a performance for the school on Tuesday, March 28th, and their shows for the public were later that week.
Spring sports are underway, and the varsity boys soccer team is having a great season. They recently played Tennessee High School at the Stone Castle and beat them for the first time in over a decade. The team is currently undefeated. The girls' soccer team also picked up a win against John Battle in the Stone Castle. We would like to wish both of our teams the best of luck with the rest of their season.
All right, thank you all for your report.
Can I
Yes.
I just wanted to say those soccer games were really fun. Great job. That was super exciting. I was very nervous. I didn't need to be. We were up a lot. Anyway, it was fun. Mamma Mia was really great. I hope everybody got a chance to get it, and I hope you'll get out to see the middle school's performance because I'm really impressed by our art departments. But I also wanted to share, and I've told several people this, but the event we had with the governor and the secretary and the senator and legislator and first lady, it was a lot of dignitaries at our school, and I got a lot of compliments from those folks and their teams about how well behaved our student body was and how respectful they were and how impressed they were. And I don't know if you have ever done an executive visit, but they were like 45 minutes late because they're always late to everything, whatever executive you're with. So the kids sat in the gym for like 45 minutes with no updates from, us about when anything was happening. And they just sat there and they really held it together. And I was very proud of them and just wanted to make sure and share that publicly.
So the play Mamma Mia, do they do that in state competition? Do they still do that?
That's in the fall.
Okay, all right. The one act plays what I was thinking, yeah. Yeah, okay. I couldn't remember how they did that.
A lot of times we connect that, the drama production in the spring with the spring festival. But with COVID, we separated it. We just haven't put everything back together yet because we couldn't put everybody in one spot
Right.
for 2 years. So we're still working with teams how to do that.
I went to that career day, and that program was awesome. I was seeing, I think, the juniors and seniors, and it was well organized, and there was plenty of things to capture the interest of these young people. Kudos, good job.
Ms. Fox does an excellent job of putting things together, having questions and things for the students so that they go to those booths, they have some type of awareness of what goes on there. And so she just does an excellent job of putting those things together.
I went over to the Marines and harassed them because I was in the Army.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if it's okay, Gavin is a member of that men's boys soccer team, and I'm surprised that he didn't have more excitement when he was talking about Tennessee High because I know that was a huge victory, but they're playing great all across the board too.
And do you know how we know that Gavin is a member of the boys soccer team? Because they all dyed their hair to match before that game. So if you see any young men walking around in the community that look like that same hairstyle, you know they're on our soccer team.
That's good, congratulations. All right.
So, and also, Dia, the first time the governor came to Bristol, she spilled orange juice all over him, but this time she did not make that same mistake. No, I'm just kidding. That was me, and I blame Dia for it.
All right. Item 3B, Superintendent's Report.
Mr. Chairman, I know that as members of the board, we send you the weekly updates on what's going on at the new construction site. However, I wanted to just share some of that with the public. Also, you can sign up on our website to receive these weekly updates. We send an email out every week but also you can find these updates if you just want to go to our website and don't want us filling up your inbox. If you've not been by the school, there are noticeable changes to the property, very noticeable changes. You can see the road. You can see how that access road is going to come from the fire hall and wind its way around the rolling hills there at Van Pelt and go around. You can see that all the exterior walls are now built. Most of the interior walls are built. You can go in and really visualize what the classroom spaces are going to look like. It's phenomenal. Brick is starting to go up on one section of the school, and we have taken a brick, per your suggestion, student advisory team, we have taken a brick from every elementary school, and I met with the Masons last week, and they are going to creatively embed those in the corner of the building because we know that those schools that we're closing are truly the cornerstone of what we'll have at our new intermediate school. So it's going to be really, really nice. Again,
Great idea.
and so we will, if anybody would like to take a tour, feel free to let me know. I love to take folks up there and walk around and help them imagine what's going to be there in the future, but it's really going to be a phenomenal opportunity for all of our kids. Let's see, what other thing? No, I think that's all I'll share because we'll cover the rest of it in a later item. That's all I have tonight, unless there are any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions? All right, item 3C, discussion of grading scale.
Mr. Chairman, not looking for any action tonight, but just wanted to at least start this conversation. Many surrounding states here in the South, well, surrounding states, but many states in the South have went to a 10-point grading scale across the board. And we remain, and Washington County remains, there's a couple other school divisions in our region who remain on a 7-point grading scale, which I think is more rigorous. Our students, we're challenging them, we have high expectations, and I think that is a great thing. One thing, though, that I think we do is in so doing, we may not be creating an equitable environment for our students. Folks talk about the college admission process and looking at GPAs. Well, really, most students aren't on that bubble between, a 90 and a 93. I mean, most students who have an A, and so the admissions is not really a problem. Where I think we create some inequities by not giving our students the same opportunities to earn an A that other students have is with scholarship applications. As you know, scholarship applications are way more competitive than admissions to colleges are. And so we might have one of our students who has a 92 in a very hard, let's just say in English 12, and they receive a B for that class. A student in another school division, whether it be here locally or in Atlanta, Georgia, has a 90 in that same class. Our student gets a 3.0 on their GPA, and the student in the other school gets a 4.0. Well, those students are applying for the same application, and our student has a 1.0 less grade point average than the student they're competing against. And so I would suggest that this board, if before we go into next school year, whether it be at the May meeting or the June meeting, for those reasons, consider moving our grading scale to a 10.0. Now, we already have at the high school level, all of our AP classes, dual enrollment classes are already on a 10-point scale. However, those are required to be on a 10-point scale by code. And so what I'm asking is that at the high school level and potentially at all other levels, that this board at least consider moving to a 10-point grading scale. If you decide that you want to go further into this discussion, we will provide data about the states that have done that statewide, about the localities in our region who have went to the 10-point grading scale, but also I'll ask our data coordinator to do a analysis in our Power School database to determine how many students have failed a grade or failed a class that would pass that class if we were to change to a 10-point grading scale. So we'll provide a plethora of information for you to consider, but we didn't want to start pulling all that data together if it was not something the board was interested in learning more about. So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman, unless there's questions.
As far as these people or organizations that grant scholarships, do they pay any attention to whether it's a 10-point or 7-point?
No, colleges say that they have a database, like Virginia Tech, for example, has a database of the school divisions in the Commonwealth who are on a 7 or on a 10. And they also look at the weight. And so they have that factored in allegedly to the admissions process. To me, that would be an overwhelming task to, but anyway, so they say they do. But no, scholarship groups, even our own foundation, of course, they're only awarding scholarships to our students, but they're looking at GPA as part of that process. And as far as I know, no scholarship organization or group ask what grading scale that your school is on. A more fair way would be to ask for the average that you made in every class, but that would be too much information for a scholarship committee to go through. And so when they are looking at overall GPA, that is 32 classes that you've taken over your high school career, and really you could have a significant difference in your GPA by changing the grade point scale.
I wish they'd had that when I was in college. I had a geology class, they graded on the curve, and I had a C with a 94.
So, do we have any comments or questions, or just something we want to get more information on?
I think so. I do. I do too.
Seems like a logical.
Right.
Right. I mean, I'm curious about the Southwest
Mhm.
school divisions, where they're at. Because that's who we're competing mostly, I think, with scholarships.
Well, for local scholarships, but scholarships that are given at the different colleges or national scholarships, I mean, we're competing against
Right.
folks all over the nation. Our students are competing.
I think it's academically suspect, but I'll vote for it because we got to get in line with everybody else.
And we'll make this part of the presentation as well. I think we've got to be very cognizant, if not careful, about how we roll the change out, because changing the the grading scale could have impact on valedictorian and salutatorian selections. Because if a junior has taken an upper level class this year and was graded on a 7-point scale, but a senior takes that same class next year and is on a 10-point scale, it could create some advantages or disadvantages. So we'll try to give you the full picture before we ask you to make a decision.
So in rolling this out, to keep it the same for that group that's in high school now, would it be something that we might start with the incoming freshman class?
That would be one way to roll that out. Yes, sir.
Then that way everybody's on the same playing field, for the classes that are in the high school now.
Another way that we could address that would be to have a valedictorian, salutatorian GPA calculation, and then have just a new GPA calculation that was not considered for GPA. And that way students could immediately begin to have that benefit as they're applying for scholarships. But we'll provide different scenarios, try to give you as much information. Again, this is not something we should take lightly. We should really be sure that we ask a lot of questions and provide as much information as possible. But we will try to get that before our May 1st meeting, and then let you ask questions from there and potentially have a recommendation by the June meeting.
A quick question. How do we determine valedictorian, salutatorian, and so forth?
I thought you said a quick question.
Pardon me?
I thought you said a quick question. It is, we have a very involved process, but we'll bring that policy of our valedictorian, salutatorian.
I just don't want to see us do what they do across town and
Yes,
have
sir.
10 valedictorians.
Correct. We'll make that policy part of the discussion as well.
Any more questions?
And I will ask our student board reps to provide some input for us on that at the next meeting too. We'd love to hear what you guys have to say about that.
All right, item 3D, discussion of interior colors of new intermediate school.
If you guys want to come down, we've got some colors here, like the same kind of palette we had for the exterior colors. So this would be the color for the porcelain floor tile, this would be the color for the grout, and this would be the color for the border going around the L-shaped vestibule where we have the two entrances coming in from the bus lane and the car right up. Okay? This will be in our restrooms where we have partitions between stalls. This would be the main partitions. And then on the walls, we would have a general tile, which is this off-white, and then we'll have an orange and black. Depending on what you name the school later tonight, we could potentially put the initials of the school as part of that design in the tile. But regardless, it'll be some pattern of orange and black inside those restrooms. We're in our gymnasium, we will have a divider curtain so that you can separate the gym into two halves, so you can have a class going on each side. So that will just be a basic black. But the wall pads, any padding on the basketball goals, that will all be this orange. And then moving down to the gym floor, we will have this basic clear maple as the base. However, we can put different designs and add, in the lane or in the 3-point section, a different color wood or a different color stain. That'll be basically that. Then our seating will be orange and black. Moving into the quarry, which is in the cafeteria, that section, this would be the tile that we're using there. And then for all of our classrooms, this would be the color scheme that goes into that. The laminate would be this casual linen. The countertops would be this Kalari topaz. Then we'll have these, there's going to be an operable partition in one of the rooms, which is to help you separate the room, and it would just have this type of carpet. And then the modest white would be the color that we'd be using on the walls. This is the color of the floor trim. This is the color of the base cabinet. And then this would be this in the window frames is going to be a very similar color. This is the door frame, and this is the window frame. But then the doors would be this color of wood. And there are some other areas. This would be the flooring. This is one of the options for flooring. If we get the school construction grant we've been talking about, which we should know about the middle of May, we would be upping our current tile, the basic cheap tile, to a more of a laminate type flooring. This to go into our classrooms as well. And then going back, this would be our window sills, which kind of has that terrazzo look. And then the window frames. Actually, this is the same exterior color that you chose at our last meeting when you chose the exterior colors. They would like to go ahead and start moving on this. If any of these colors really just you say absolutely not, I'm not interested, let us know. But this is kind of the direction we're going. Not kind of, it is the direction.
You got different shades of orange.
Two different manufacturers, and that they could not match them. I asked the same question. However, we are through a branding process. We are going to have an actual Bearcat orange that we can use for paint and other things that will get the same color shirts, all that kind of stuff. But unfortunately, with these manufacturers, this is the orange they offer. This was the orange.
Actually, you got 3 different shades.
Yeah, they're orange. That orange is tough. You got volunteer orange, Hokie orange, UVA orange, Texas orange, Halloween orange, all this. But yeah, if you have an idea on a design here so it doesn't look like Charlie Brown's sweater, we can make adjustments for that as well. Anyway, you can come by and look at this later on. There are some things that they need to know pretty quickly. Anyway, I would just assume make a decision, and if y'all are bless this, let me know, and if you have trouble, let me know too. We'll get moving on it. All right. Yeah, if that we can afford this if we get the school construction, and if not, we'll have a basic tile like we have in anything else.
I'm good. You know, you guys have a career on interior decorating.
Oh, is that our furniture? Is that our furniture? Yay!
It's a sample of it.
Oh, yay!
The colors are not right.
That's
clearly.
okay. That's okay.
We'll have to get that right.
Okay, item 3E, discussion of furniture and special education.
So that was kind of a perfect segue, the interior colors and about furniture. So I'm here just to give you a brief update. I've been working. You here? Okay. I've been working with the committee for several months just to make sure that we outfit both of our schools very well, while also using the existing furniture that we have. Luckily, our committee has been very forward-thinking in ordering some furniture about 18 months ago, 2 years ago, in anticipation of the new school. So I just want to start by saying that the Envision, the group that we're using for furniture, went through with several of us staff members to do a detailed inventory of what we have at all four of the elementary schools. And so with that, most of the furniture that is at the existing Van Pelt school will stay there, and we will have to purchase very little for that school. The other great thing is that for the new school, all of the previously purchased new furniture is going to outfit the new school, every classroom except one. So we'll only really have to purchase and that includes student desks and chairs, which look like that left-hand upper picture with the green chair and the triangular desks. So those will be in every classroom in the new school, along with a kidney table. And that lower piece is a traveling lecture desk for the teacher. So you can see it's on wheels. And so every classroom will have one of those. And then this is an example, which is the picture there, of the teacher chair that we're looking at as well. So the proposal that we're looking at is so we have the classrooms somewhat outfitted with the student the student desks and chairs, but so we're looking at new furniture for all of the office area, the common areas, teacher desks, kidney tables, and some flexible seating, which I'll talk about in just a moment. So the current proposal is over budget, and we recognize that, but we feel very comfortable, especially if the grant money comes through this summer with some reallocation, that we will be able to cover that. So that's not too much of a concern. And we're really trying to look at creating a really sharp, uniform look within, of course, both schools, but especially in the new school. We know that it's going to be getting a lot of attention. So I would suspect that everybody in this room, and I know for sure Dr. Perigin, is doing something right now to kind of regulate themselves so that they know that they're paying attention. So maybe they're tapping their foot or chewing gum, and our kids need to do that too. And that's where flexible seating comes in. So my favorite one that I'm going to share with you that I actually have here is called a wobble stool. And this is not going to be our students' actual all the time chair, but it's going to be an option within the classroom. So if you have a student who's feeling like they need extra wiggles on a particular day, they can use it. So this actually has a little bounce in it, and I welcome you to come down and try it if you want now or on a break. So it has a little bit of a bounce, and it also kind of wobbles.
Yeah, we.
Option that is in some of the classrooms. And then this, either a round or a square ottoman is what they're calling it, which also has a little bit of a give. And one of the great things about this is that it's requiring the kids to use their core muscles, which, by the way, have become very weakened through COVID because they went however long in the couch like this. So while they're around these are going to be around the kidney tables to again, allow them to have a little bit of movement, but also engage your core.
What do you call the blue stool? Wobble? Does that come with a referral to a chiropractor if you fall off?
So, and then there's a picture there, the second picture, the white chair. The second one is something that we're looking at in some of our STEM labs and possibly music and art. So again, it's just a little bit of a different kind of seating. And then that sway chair, which is really cool. I haven't had a chance to sit in it yet, but that's something that we're looking at for the library and maybe in some of our common areas. So I just wanted to highlight a couple more things because I know we don't have a lot of time. But so this is something, this is furniture that we're looking at for our STEM labs. The beauty of these is that they're on wheels, and so you can push those together for group work, separate them out if you have more individual work, and you can see there's tons of storage underneath. And so if kids are robotics or what have you, they'll be able to store it right below them, pull it out as they're working on it. So that's what we're looking at for our STEM labs. And so this is just to kind of highlight some of the unique pieces that we're looking at. The dry erase surface board that you see there on the left, which is really awesome. So you can put several of those together to create a partition in the classroom. So if you're doing maybe small group instruction, or if you have kids who are distracted and might need a more private place, so that makes kind of a partition. And it's dry erase on both sides. So the teacher could be using that to be giving instruction or calling students up to do some work on the dry erase. The step stools are something that we're looking at for the library. So when the kids come in and maybe have story time, they can sit on those steps. The curvy things we're looking at for the library and for the common areas, the lobby. And that little ottoman at the bottom there is another piece that we're looking at for the lobby or the common areas. So just a little highlight. Of course, the colors aren't what we're going for, but it just kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of what we're looking at for that. So for our timelines, I gave you the one with the X's. That's okay. So we're actually getting samples of many of these things, of these items, and we're going to put them in the school for this year for the first month or so that teachers and kids can try them out to make sure, okay, this is going to work, this is not going to work, we don't like this, it's too big, it's too small, whatever. And then we'll have to make our final choices, and then I have X's in there, but all of our ordering really needs to be done by October in order for us to have the furniture to us late spring, early summer for the opening of the school. Any questions about furniture? I'm going to leave these here so you guys can give them a try when you want to.
So how much over budget is the furniture?
To ask. About 200 and how much over budget? 311,000.
And look, if I may, let me provide just a little context to that. For those of you who have been on the board, and maybe those of you who have followed along, when the first time we almost got to building a new school, but it, ended up making it to the final vote and not getting it. We had started purchasing every year furniture for a grade level, knowing that we would combine that together. And so we had 4 grade levels total that have already been purchased out of the 7 or the 6 grade levels. So part of that had already been purchased. Because of that, in our overall school budget, we actually kept the furnishing budget kind of low because we had purchased a lot of that. However, with COVID and everything else, those prices have went up. And so that's kind of got us off kilter. The school construction grant, though, it should really help with this. Even though we can't use the school construction grant for this purpose, it will free up money on the construction side that will enable us to take care of that. So we feel very confident. But even if we don't do this 311, we'll still have the furniture that we need. We just won't have all the extras that Megan has talked about during her presentation. And we'll have to use some office furniture from the existing schools, et cetera. So
I'm really excited to see this micro movement furniture. That's something that was really important to me back in the days when we were on the committees about the new school. So I'm really excited to see this here in person, for our kids. So thank you.
It's really good. Any other questions about furniture? Okay, and just very quickly, I wanted to talk a little bit about special education as well. So just to give you some context, currently at the elementary level, we employ 14 full-time teachers and 13 aides. Of that, 5 of those full-time teachers are in are self-contained programs, either early childhood or the older kids are students with autism or are students with intellectual disability. So the expectation is that we would need the same number of teachers or staff members and classrooms, just divided among the two schools. So I just wanted to highlight a couple of things, if you'll go to the next one, that I'm really excited about, that it's going to be great for special education students with the two-school model. So the first really great thing is that right now students who go to Highland View or Washington Lee or Stonewall who need a more restrictive environment have to leave their home school and go to Van Pelt, because we have those programs only at Van Pelt. So they have to leave their home school. Sometimes they have to leave siblings at the home school and come to another school. That will not be the case when we have them both on the same campus. Everybody will be at the intermediate or the primary school, so nobody's leaving their home school to get the services they need. That's awesome. You can't get more inclusive than that. The next really great thing is that I really do envision that we're going to be able to assign an inclusion teacher to every grade level, which is going to increase their opportunity to really partner with those gen ed teachers. Right now at the schools, teachers special educators are working with more than one grade level, so it's very difficult for them to get to all of the grade levels to meet with the teachers to do the planning. And if we are able to work it out where they're assigned a grade level, then they're going to have the chance to be part of that team, and that just is going to increase our collaboration. The next thing is that special educators are a little bit isolated at the elementary school. At some schools, we only have one. At others, we have two, which really kind of limits their opportunity to kind of work with each other because they're running like crazy trying to get to see all their students. By bringing all of our special educators together at two schools, it's just going to create a stronger team among them. Of course, we're looking at them to work with the general educators, but this is going to give them the opportunity to work with each other, which is really a great thing too. And all of that results in a more inclusive environment, which is what we're always aiming for. As it's appropriate, we want our kids out there in the general class. So that's just kind of a brief overview of what we're looking at for special ed as we bring all of them together. So any questions about that?
I have a question about the inclusion. Do we have enough staff to do that, or will we need more folks?
We should. At this point, we should be able to do and assign. And in fact, if we have a group that maybe has a larger, we might be able to put a teacher and a half with that group if we need to. It's all based on numbers, as you well know. So hopefully that's the way it will work out. But regardless, teachers are going to be assigned lesser grade levels than they are. Some schools are doing K-5. And so that's not going to be the situation. So even if they had to do more than one, it still gives them the opportunity to work. But I do think in looking at the numbers that we should be able to do that, which is really a great thing.
Yeah. I mean, the inclusion teacher being in the room, that they help the whole room, not just those students.
Absolutely.
I know Cindy did that her last few years, and she really enjoyed that, being able to help everybody.
Absolutely. Yes, it's a benefit for all of our students, special educators and general educators as well. Any other questions? Thank you so much.
And just as a reminder, Megan, great job. But this is just a continuance of our series of a couple of different topics involved with transitioning and consolidating schools, so that you'll know that regardless of what's going on, we've got a great plan as we go into opening our new school. So we'll have two more presentations in May and wrap that up in June as well. So
Thank you, Megan. All right, item 3F, update of International Baccalaureate.
Mr. Ritchie.
So some of you had an opportunity to travel to High Point, North Carolina. We had a great trip. We took several with us. I think we probably had around 12 or 13 who made the trip. And the program looked great. the principal was very candid in the challenges that, since she has been a part, as principal. We also had the opportunity to hear their IB coach, who really probably has been pivotal in being able to make that work. One of the things that I did not know when I went, it probably was the only thing that I just did not know at all. I tried to do a little bit of research before going, and that is the thought that there is a requirement that whatever, whether we would do this at both elementary schools, one elementary school, the expectation is that you have someone who is teaching a foreign language. I think they taught Mandarin Chinese. Is that correct?
Chinese, yes.
Which was kind of a different thought, but they had some other schools, I think, where they taught Spanish, and they didn't necessarily want to compete. Probably, in thinking about costs, I mean, that would be an additional cost that I knew that was coming in middle school, and we had talked about that a little bit when I presented. And just getting everyone trained will be a tremendous challenge. The expectation is really even before the program goes online that the training has to take place. There is the possibility that we could bring someone in-house to provide that training. I did send an email actually shortly after we came back from the trip, trying to get an idea of what kind of cost that would be. The cost for sending staff individually, I think the number they may have given was around $1,500 a pop, and that's if you're able to travel. The challenge is Atlanta or Nashville is very close for us to send people, but oftentimes we would be sending them much further. So, that would be a significant cost. One thing I would say that was a really big takeaway was I love the way that, of course, with IB, they have a plan to, I can't think of the right word, pillars. I'll use the word pillars, but they use thematic units that kind of held the curriculum together, which I thought was a really cool approach. And I thought there was something to be said about that. So,
Mr. Ritchie, let me just add, I was able to go along on that trip as well and was able to interact with the teachers and principals and board members who went along as well. Oftentimes folks maybe not as candid with me, that the impression I got from the teachers and administrators is that maybe the juice wasn't worth the squeeze and that we could maybe pull this off ourselves, and they were concerned about the amount of training and pulling away from other things. I don't know, is that impression that you got, or have?
I think there are definite concerns about the potential for all of the professional development that will be required, especially knowing that the Literacy Act is upon us and we do not know what requirements will be there. One thing that will be true, if we make this commitment, every teacher, every new teacher we hire will have to go through the training to be able to teach IB. So, and then they'll have to be retrained at times. Of course, we did that at the high school, but I mean, if we implement this at elementary school, we are training everybody. And that is different from the high school program. Only those teachers who are teaching those courses, and then the librarian. There are a few others, but
If I can put Ms. Scuffy and Ms. Forbes-Hubbard on the spot, love to hear y'all's thoughts about the visit as well.
Do you want to go first? Because I'm just going to.
Let me go first, and then
Yeah,
you can.
you go.
Whatever. I was really impressed by what I saw and what the students had done. And as we walked into rooms after they kind of got over the fact that 10 adults they didn't know were staring at them, some of them were able to share what they were doing and explain that. And it was really great. But when we went back, I noticed that the principal used the word expensive 3 different times, how expensive that it was. And that, that was a concern of mine. It would be a good program, but just that cost, wondering about cost prohibitive And if there's other things that also need some of our money attention to our money for other students was one of my concerns. It's a good program, though. Okay, Brianne, go.
So I have like literally 12 pages of notes, which I will not read to you all from the visit. One thing that I remembered about the cost discussion with the training was they did say the asynchronous online training was not beneficial, but they thought the one where they could do the training in a cohort online was okay. So I think that to me seemed like a way we could save some cost. But it was really incredible to be there. The school is very similar to ours in demographics and the area and the background students are coming from. And I was just so impressed at the opportunities the kids had. Everything had, Mandarin Chinese underneath the English words in the hallway, and they have these pillars of learning, and the kids are so involved in it's very collaborative with the teachers coming up with what they want to talk about, and it's very question-based and project-based. And the kids, and we went to a fifth grade classroom, and I think my fifth grader is brilliant, but he could not work at the level these kids were working at. They were coming up with like a career plan and what they want to do and reverse engineering it down, whether they wanted to go to college or CTE or whatever. And it was just so cool to see these kids have these opportunities, which is what I keep saying here is why I think this IB program could be so transformative for our schools, is because it would give our kids opportunities that they don't otherwise have. And I know there is a cost associated with it. And we had some discussion at lunch about, do we want to just try and piecemeal do this ourselves? My concern with that is then it becomes very easy to just let it go when there's other priorities. So I think, those are all the concerns that were raised are true. I left thinking like, I just want this for our kids. It was just so impressive, and it was such a cool environment. And every classroom you were in felt like the kids all wanted to be there, and they were engaged and interested. And I just loved it, and I want it for our kids.
So every classroom is teaching?
Yeah, the
IB?
whole school.
The whole
It's
school.
all school is doing it. And they talked too about like the ways that the kids, they talked about the curriculum and how they've taught it before, like they do an ancient cities curriculum in first grade or something. And they talked about how boring it was for the kids before they did this. And then when they started, how engaged the kids were. And they came up with their own rules for civilizations and what you could do and the rules in your civilization. And they had things like, you don't kill each other. And then they also had things like everyone gets cupcakes every Monday. It was so fun to see, their wheels turning and just the staff talking about, they might not remember, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, but they're going to remember the important thing about what a civilization needs and how civilizations and societies work together. And that's really kind of the goal of the program, is to get them ready to be great citizens in our world.
I was set to go to the first visit, and I could not make this one, so I'm sorry. But I'm curious about their school system and their size. Was it comparable to us, or?
Their school system had 65 elementary schools
It's very large.
and 100 out of 126 schools. I wrote that down. That was impressive.
Oh.
to me.
The school we were at, I think, they said 503 students from 24 different countries, 12 languages are spoken by families, and 92% of their students qualify for free or reduced lunch.
How much, say that one more time, I'm sorry.
503 students from 24 different countries, 12 languages are spoken by families, 12 different languages are spoken by the families at home, and 92% of their kids qualify for free or reduced cost lunch.
Okay.
One of the reasons we chose to go there was trying to look at similar demographics. The one thing that I did know about is it's 10% or 15% of the students. There is a lottery of students outside of that school zone who could apply to go. And so,
It's my understanding that North Carolina works on a magnet system, and each school has to be a magnet of some sort. And this school chose IB as its magnet, and the kind of the Chinese is one of the draws that they have to try to draw more folks in so that their small school community looks more like the greater school community, which is the Greensboro area.
Right, and that was one thing I thought was really critical was that it wasn't just kids from well-off backgrounds who are being sent to this school and succeeding there. It's a neighborhood school for a lot of the kids, and they were just clicking along on such an impressive level. But it wasn't, again, just like, kids from, smart families, well-to-do families that have all those, factors that you might expect they're going to come in and succeed with speaking Mandarin Chinese. It was a neighborhood school, and the system was working well for all of the students.
We had IB at the high school, and it is an inclusive curriculum. Anybody can take IB courses. And we had people move from Emory, Virginia to Bristol to have their children in school at Virginia High. And, there were a handful of people that did that. And if we're going to have a 21st century school building, we need a 21st century curriculum.
Do they have a dual enrollment also?
Like in the high school?
Yes.
I don't
That's
know.
what they have at the high school. They don't have the IB at that high school. It's at their elementary school.
So the IB is only going through the elementary grade?
That's what we're looking at currently.
That is correct.
Okay, so they don't continue that program?
It doesn't feed into their middle school. Now, they may have a magnet program at the middle level and a magnet program at the high school level, but not in that particular
They
attendance.
do. A couple of my friends went to school in Greensboro, and they went to those high schools. But it's like you said, it's not every high school. It's some that you choose to go to. So they do have programs, but they have more than one high school.
So right off, we have to have two positions when we start this, an IB coach and language.
That is what they did, and that is definitely what I would recommend. That I think we need an IB coach, much like we would have a reading coach or a math coach. Definitely, the lady who was presenting, she knew her stuff, and she went in and also helped to make sure that it was going to be successful.
So I guess another question, maybe the cost of teacher training and the workload that the teachers have. Would it be better to implement a grade as they go through, build it as you go? Or
I don't think we would be allowed to. I mean, when we go through the
you're either in
candidacy,
or you're out.
It's
when we go
whole
through the
school or
candidacy
nothing
process.
with primary. They call it the primary program.
right, and so when we go through the process, we would be approved as a school.
Do all the students in the elementary program, do they progress automatically into the IB
They
at the
it
high
is
school?
It is school-wide participation in elementary. It starts to change as they move up. Not everyone's taking it at the high school level, for
Okay.
example.
Do we know how many continue out of the 500?
I do not know.
I don't think we
I didn't
asked
hear
about
that. I didn't
Good
hear
question.
that.
So I have always been completely candid with this board. As a matter of fact, I was at the front end of starting the IB discussion. If the board wants my recommendation, I'll give it to. Let me give it to you anyway. Y'all can do with it what you want. How about that? We in our current circumstance with an unknown budget at the state level and words hearing that we may have to adopt the skinny budget, which is actually $400,000 less than what we knew this time last year for this. With the new superintendent coming on board, with the amount of training that our teachers are going to have as we consolidate schools, and with the workload that it's going to take to consolidate schools, with the additional costs that we're having, my recommendation would be to wait till you hire a new superintendent and maybe try to phase this in, because the training is going to happen if we're going to open up the new school with IB, the training would have to happen this upcoming school year. Gary has got a really good plan. Jennifer and Megan have a really good plan about the training that we need to do next year. As a matter of fact, you'll hear about it in the calendar committee here very soon about, bringing 4 schools and making them 2. My recommendation would be to hold off, make sure that you have the funding set aside to implement it appropriately. We can still, that doesn't mean we can't do, I know we talked about this at lunch, it doesn't mean we can't move to an inquiry-based, student-centered instructional model. We could even steal some ideas from what the IB has, but to put all of this on our teachers and a new superintendent, a new administrative team, in the current climate, I would recommend that you hold off a year before you make that decision. Again, take that in a nickel and all you have is a nickel, but that would be my recommendation.
Then looking at it as from a teacher point of view, the way it was explained and how I understood it, you took your curriculum, like we'd have our SOLs, and the IB part of that curriculum, and they had to put it together, and they had to write all of those things. So if I were to hear as a teacher, well, here's this and here's this, now you have to put it together. I mean, that they would have to understand that there would be a lot of upfront work. Once that's done, then it would just have to be tweaked along as needed. But I
I
just
think
saw
that's
that,
definitely true. I
saw
think that
that
is
as
a
a
good description of
lot
that.
of work up front.
It will take a lot of work, but once it's built, the work will not be as great. I think that is very accurate.
So what kind of, how do you, are you getting a feel for our elementary teachers? What they,
Excuse me.
if they might be in on it, would they be all in on, because I mean, they'd have to be committed for it to work, I guess is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
And that's a concern. I mean, with teacher shortages and things, I mean, that is a concern. Now, I do not think I had done a survey at the high school, and I had a feel for where they were with IB implementation, but I don't know that I ever did a survey at the elementary level because we just weren't talking about it at the time.
I think it would be beneficial if, to have that survey, and, I mean, if you have 50% of your teachers in or out, I think we have to have a strong intent to support this program for it to be successful. If you're doing it because you have to, it's not going to succeed, in my opinion.
Mr. Alvis, one thing that we could do is, we meet again in 2 weeks. I could ask Mr. Ritchie, we had a representative from each elementary school that was on the trip. I could ask Mr. Ritchie to schedule a faculty meeting at each of those buildings with that faculty representative to kind of give an overview of what it would be like, and then put out the survey and get that information back before the next board meeting. Because I think if we are going to move forward with it, we need to be scheduling the summer trainings that have to go along with it. We need to be scheduling that right now, and Tammy's going to have to be finding the money to make that happen. But she can do it. Tammy, she does all kinds of magic things with that
The
money.
early discussion was it probably would take 2 years for it to happen, but the training, you can't be accredited without the training being in place. And so you have to have plenty of time to get that done. And so, you can imagine if it requires 3 days of training, which I think a typical IB training, if you're doing it in person, that's 3-day training. And, when do you do that? Do you do that during the summer? Do you take teachers' breaks to do that? How many are willing to do that? I mean, there are a lot of logistics that have to be figured out if we go in that direction.
Is that, get that information back by the next board meeting?
How would this go along with the new gifted program that we're trying to do? I mean, is that can they go side?
It would pair well with it. I mean, it definitely would.
Okay.
I mean, my opinion is the thematic units is a cool idea. I also believe that the IB helps to shape that, which is nice. But thematic units are not new. I mean, there are teachers, elementary teachers, and that's how they teach. They teach in thematic units. So, I mean, it can be done outside of the IB. And I think that was part of the discussion when we left. There is a way to do this apart from IB, and then that becomes another question. Do we even want to do that? Because there would be significant training with that as well. I mean, if we're going to do it, we need to do it well, and it's going to require significant training as well.
Can we get a one-page summary of what you think about this? The cost or estimated cost.
Yes. Yeah, I will.
So, all the talk goes up in the air. If we have it on paper, I think it'd be helpful.
Sure. Yes, sir.
One other thing, and I know I don't guess there's any schools in the Tri-Cities or Southwest Virginia or East Tennessee that offer IB, or is Sign Seal, do they? No?
Salem was the closest that offered it at the high school level. They discontinued the program last year because of, mostly because of dual enrollment.
Okay.
In IB at primary program, Richmond City has one, Prince William has two. Was there a fourth one in Virginia?
Yeah, I mean, there are several, but they're on the far end. And just for you to know, I printed out the demographics of every one of the elementary programs, trying to find one that looked like us, found one that looked like us, and I'd had a conversation with the principal. We were making plans to go, and then he just, as we were getting closer, he just said, "Hey, listen," he said, "our school's in trouble, and this is the least of our concerns right now." I mean, he was just brutally honest, and I mean, basically, he was saying, "You don't want to come see us, and we don't want you coming to see us." So, and that's when I started looking in North Carolina. I was just trying to find a day trip, and because I did not feel like looking at the demographics. I mean, I printed all those out, and I took those into Dr. Perigin, and he and I looked at them together to determine the best place to go.
Is there any, I think it'd be nice if we had some kind of positive data on a IB program, and I mean, maybe it doesn't exist, but is there a program that could, or a data that could show, hey, we started an IB program and we've had test scores, or a certain number of families moved into the area for this program or relocated? Is that probably pretty hard to capture?
I don't know.
I would kind of wonder, at just the elementary level, would that be enough of a draw to bring people in? It might be at high school, but I don't know about elementary school. They did have benefits. I'd written those down about the ownership of the student's work, the inquiry-based, and to say, I am making a difference in the world. And I thought those were exceptional, but that goes on in a classroom anyway. A teacher is going to try to put that in there, whether it's IB or whether it's just a normal average day. So it could be done with tweaking a little bit. But it'd be our own way. We could make it our own.
Mr. Ritchie, how many of assignments have I given you already tonight?
I don't know. I haven't been taking notes. So I have to do it by me.
Well, I think what I'm hearing is we like a little more information, a little bit more information cost-wise, where we can see it right in front of us.
Yeah, I will just say right off the bat, a middle-of-the-road teacher with benefits. If you hire a foreign language teacher, $65,000, and you hire an IB coach, $65,000, you're $130,000 in. It costs $10,000 a year to belong to the program. and then you have all the training costs. And I do not know the training costs right now. I mean, I went through a course myself, and it was probably about $1,200. Mr. Collins traveled to Orlando, Florida, and his was higher than mine was. But I would not advocate anybody to do what I did for my training. It was awful.
I tried to get him not to do it. But he did it.
So
I
the-
did online.
The $10,000 a year, is it scheduled on how many students are in a school? It's
Oh,
just a flat
It's just
fee?
belonging. It might be 9,500, but it's very close to belong. And then there's a consultant's fee that you go through, but I mean, that might be a year or two as you're getting into it, but that goes away. I mean, the yearly fee, the 9,500, 10,000, that happens every year, but the consultant's fee as you're going through, that's around another 10,000. And we did that actually as we were looking at Virginia High. We put that money into that, but we would turn around and do that. If we're looking at implementing the primary years program, that those would be some costs that we would be looking at too. Those are not near as big as the training for all the staff.
Any more comments or questions? All right.
Well, I would hope that we don't make the decision to not do it because of our demographic.
I agree.
IB has been successful in inner city Atlanta with huge minority population, and they do well, and they have over the years. And we're here in southern Appalachia, and I think we need to stretch and do what we can to do the best we can for our children.
Yeah, we'll get some more information and have another discussion at our next meeting. Okay, I'm going to move an item here. Item 6F, approval of Community Remembrance Project Resolution. And I can't get it open.
Stephanie's bringing your copy.
Is that in
In action.
Are we in action?
He's skipping to it because we have guests here.
Okay, gotcha.
I'll read the resolution and then turn it over to you. All right, here we go.
Prepared for that.
So a resolution in support of the Community Remembrance Project. Whereas the Bristol, Virginia Public Schools has been approached for support to further the purpose of the Community Remembrance Project resolution that was passed unanimously by the Virginia House of Delegates on February 21st, 2019, and agreed to by the Senate on February 20th, 2019. Whereas the Equal Justice Initiative created the Community Remembrance Project to create greater awareness and understanding about racial terror, lynchings, and to begin a necessary conversation that advances truth and reconciliation by working with communities to commemorate and recognize the traumatic era of lynching by collecting soil from lynching sites across the country and erecting historical markers and monuments in these spaces. And whereas the joint resolution of the House and Senate directed that the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Commission develop programming to bring awareness and recognition of this history to communities across the state. As such, awareness might contribute to the process of healing and reconciliation in Virginia's still wounded communities and for families and descendants affected by lynchings. Therefore, be it resolved, the Bristol, Virginia Schools supports the objectives of Joint Resolution 655 that was passed unanimously by the House and Senate to further the purpose and education involving the Community Remembrance Project. Be it further resolved, this resolution is adopted this 17th day of April, 2023, and a copy of this resolution shall be presented to the local organizers of the Community Remembrance Project who are working to document the area's history and to further the purpose of Joint Resolution 655. All right, do I have a motion? And then
I move that we adopt that resolution.
do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion or comments from anyone?
Well, I'll just say we have some folks here tonight from what was formerly Bristol's Promise and is now Appalachian Promise Alliance. Did I get it right? All right. So there's the Community Remembrance Project is an initiative of the APA. And just, something we're trying to do because this is a part of our history and it is important that we acknowledge this, that we reconcile this, and that's how we move forward as a community. And so I don't know that I have a lot more to say about that. We had a great presentation last time about it. I appreciate you all being here tonight, and I'm in support of the resolution.
Any other comments? Hearing none, Ms. Jones?
Yes.
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 Yes. All right, so resolution has been passed. Thank you all. All right, item 6A, approval of
We skipped,
I
we-
skipped public comment, didn't I? Oh, this note messed me up.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
All right, item 4, public comment. Do we have any individuals that want to speak? I skipped over that.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to, as a member of the Bristol Area Ministerial Alliance, just want to express my appreciation for the approval of the resolution that we just, the Remembrance Project and everything. And it has been said that those who forget their history are doomed to repeat it. And so I think it's a great thing that we continue to remember even the bad parts of our history, because if we don't, then certainly we will repeat it. And I hope, and my prayer is that this is as impactful as even the Holocaust Museum. And we will come out of these type of projects saying, we'll never do that again. So, thank you.
I just wanted to thank you all very much for passing this resolution. I'm here on behalf of several people. There's a coalition of people who are working on this. Appalachian Promise Alliance is just one. Bristol Area Ministerial Alliance is another. Both Tina McDaniel and Preston Mitchell, who spoke with you last month, are actually doing a presentation with the Bristol Historical Association tonight at the library, moving the work forward. So we are so thankful for your support of this resolution.
Thank you all. All right, item 5, the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Let's see, we was pulling 2 things out, though.
Oh, sorry.
IJD and IKFD.
So we're going to approve the consent agenda with policy IJD. Yeah. And policy IKFD will be pulled out of that consent agenda.
That is the motion I make.
Okay.
Yes.
I was seconded.
All right. Motion is second. Ms. Jones? Ms. Guffey?
Yes.
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 Yes. All right. You got this? Yeah. Okay.
We'll do this next month.
Okay.
Full presentation.
Okay. All right. All right, item 6A, approval of revision to 2023-2024 division calendar.
Mr. Rich.
I wanted to bring to you, the calendar committee actually came together to talk about a couple of different issues, knowing that we already have an approved calendar. But one of the things that came out of that discussion was an idea knowing that we are merging 4 schools together into 2 elementary schools, that we take advantage of some of these early dismissals, and some of them are already built in. We have some early dismissals, but the recommendation that is before you tonight is to add 3 additional early dismissal days to our calendar only for elementary. And the plan would be for any families who need childcare that we could use our aides, additional staff, to be able to take care of those students. These 3 early dismissal days would not impact the high school or the middle school, and it would allow us to do some planning, bring people together. We might work together. Second grade teachers might meet as a group, third grade teachers. Then we might do vertical planning, and first and second grade teachers might meet, second and third may meet. So there's a lot of different ways that we could go, but we know we have a lot of professional development to do, and even if we do a team building activity for that matter, it would be well worth our time. So we just think that it would be worth doing. We plan to do some of this over the summer as well, but we feel like we need more time to do that. So we're asking if the 3 additional early dismissal days could be added to the calendar.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the revision of the 2023-2024 division calendar?
I'll make a motion to approve the 23-24 division calendar.
Second.
Motion and second. Y'all have any questions or comments?
Sounds good.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
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 Yes. Item 6B, approval of 2022-2023 summer school schedule.
At the risk of making it look like Mr. Ritchie is doing all the work, I will go ahead and take this one, even though Mr. Ritchie did all the work for this. We would like to have summer school for our elementary students from June 12th through the 29th, Monday through Thursday. The same dates for our middle school program, and then with a transition camp also for upcoming 6th graders to be held July 24th through the 27th, and then 2 sessions for our high school program so our students can recover credits. The same dates in June, but then also adding July 10th through the 27th. We are at this point unsure of what our hourly rate is going to be. As you remember, during COVID, we were able to use ESSER funds to pay teachers, $45 an hour to do summer school. However, we've spent out those ESSER funds and don't have that available currently. However, if we get the school construction grant, which we think we will, our understanding is we'll have to refund the $2 million down payment that we used from ESSER back to ESSER. And so if that does occur, then we will be able to offer the $45 payment. So that's a quick summary of the summer program. Mr. Ritchie, did I leave anything out?
Do I have a motion?
I move we approve the summer school schedule.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any questions? Thoughts, ideas? Ms. Jones?
Yes.
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 Yes. Item 6C, approval of naming new intermediate school.
Mr. Chairman, as we've discussed earlier, we've come to the point where we need to provide an actual name for the new intermediate school instead of calling it the new intermediate school. As part of that process in gathering information, we did a survey amongst our middle school and high school students, amongst our staff across the division, and we also opened up this survey to parents and members of the community. The results of that is 57% of survey respondents suggest that while we're doing this, we also change the name of Van Pelt Elementary School, and they gave various reasons for that. Staff approved this change overwhelmingly, as you'll see from the data that we provided, while students and community members still prefer leaving the name just as it is. However, when you combine all that together, it does come to the 57% who suggest that we change the name of Van Pelt as well. The suggested names that were provided predominantly, although there were a few outliers, were predominantly Virginia Intermediate or Bristol, Virginia Intermediate School. And then by changing the name of Van Pelt, it would be the main recommendations were either Virginia Primary or Bristol, Virginia Primary School. And so with having that information, my recommendation to this board, although I would be okay with either of those or something else that the board comes up with, but my job as superintendent is always to make recommendations. And so I recommend that we name our new school Virginia Intermediate School, and that we name our new school Virginia Primary School.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I make that motion.
Do we have a second?
So we're leaving it as Van Pelt?
No.
Let's get a second, then we'll discuss.
I thought we had a second.
The motion is to approve the name as Virginia Intermediate and renaming Van Pelt as Virginia Primary, right? That's the motion
Yes,
I was
yes,
making?
ma'am.
Yes, that's the motion.
And I will second it.
Is it seconded?
It's
Yeah.
seconded.
Now we can talk.
now we can talk.
So what's the, obviously, the poll says keep the name.
No, the poll said to change the name. 57%. Very heavy staff.
The chart is orange and blue, right?
There's 3 charts.
This is just the first 2.
Okay, so
Yeah, we did 3 surveys, one with students at the middle and high school, one with staff across the division, and one with parents and community. Staff overwhelmingly wanted to change the name of Van Pelt, but parents and students, with a smaller majority, wanted to leave the name the same. When you put all 3 of those surveys together, it ended up being 57% of all survey takers suggested changing the name of Van Pelt.
So I've got a question. All these different names on this survey, were they suggested to vote on? Or did individuals just come up with these?
The survey that we sent shared that the recommendation that I would make would be as it is. And if you supported that, that's fine. Give a reason for it. If you had another name, provide that other name and give a reason for that as well. As you can see, there were a very few folks that suggested changing it. One of the interesting things that came out of this conversation, and it happened from some staff, but it also happened with Mr. Collins and Mr. Matlock. They suggested that you put the Bristol in front of it because anytime that a Virginia high school student commits a felony, and that makes the news, it sounds like it is a Virginia high school student who does it, not a student who attends high school in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So that's where the recommendation to add Bristol to the front end of that came about. So just know that, I'm not married to the names that I made. That is my recommendation, and certainly if y'all want to name it Randy Alvis Elementary, I would support that too.
So what is your recommendation? It's not on my,
if you'll look under recommended action on your board, it says the recommended action is a motion to approve Virginia Intermediate School and Virginia Primary School as the name of our 2 future elementary schools.
I guess I would feel better if there were multiple suggestions other than just one. To me, that's...
Now, which school are we talking about?
Both
I'm
schools.
talking about either.
Pardon me?
I'm talking about either. Either school, both.
But we're talking about the Van Pelt footprint up there.
Both schools, yes, sir.
Okay. Now, the survey said keep Van Pelt, the lower school, the same name.
No, sir.
The staff doesn't like it, but the parents and the students do.
Right, parents and students, but when you add those all three together, 57% of all survey respondents suggested to change the name.
Because we didn't have as many parents or students take the survey.
So you didn't have the participation to get a good
Well, we got the best participation we could. We sent it out via email, via our social media accounts. Jeff, we sent a phone call out telling them it was coming. We used all the channels of communications that we have.
So we can assume the people that didn't take the survey don't care.
You can. I won't.
I'm going to reemphasize. To me, there was no choice. I mean, I guess I didn't realize we were voting on a name tonight. I know personally I haven't had an opportunity to suggest anything.
So we
And I
got to
don't
get the
know
name
that
so we can
anyone
get
else
the,
has.
tiles on the wall.
Right.
But
Well-
it was open-ended on the survey. People did put in different names. There were different names suggested.
Yeah, but there was only one suggestion
In the,
for a name.
tonight,
could
in my
you-
motion? Or
Could you
do
help
mean-
Stephanie pull up the survey?
I just don't like, personally, I don't like the sterile, generic names, and I know a lot of schools have gone to that,
So
but I don't
name is
understand
just
why we have to.
Intermediate?
No, the name is Virginia Intermediate School and Virginia Primary School is the motion on the table. We can decide something else, but that's the motion. Without Bristol in front of it.
Where is it written up so I can look at it? I can't hear anybody.
Well, Jeff is going to pull up the survey to show you how the question was worded. Can you make so? Of course, we're not going to be able to. So it said here's the way the survey was sent out. Please tell us your name. Please provide your relationship to the school. Scroll down there, Stephanie.
Okay, so what's the name we're voting on?
Let me do this first, and then let me answer Mr. Fletcher's question first, and then I'll come back to yours. Then please provide a suggested name for the new school that will serve grades 2 through 5. Please provide the rationale for the name. The next question was, do you believe that Van Pelt should be renamed? And so there was no suggestion in the survey, but if you'll go up to the introductory paragraphs, we told them the policy FFA about how you go about naming a new school. And currently the superintendent recommends that we name the new school Virginia Intermediate and Virginia Primary. Some folks have suggested we change it to Bristol. The new access road to both schools is named Van Pelt Circle. With this information in mind, please answer the following questions. And then you also have access to the information that people provided in the comments as well.
Yeah, but I mean, we're recommending and then asking for input. And that's either yes or no. Whatever.
Well, from my personal standpoint, I kind of like them all being the same.
I do too.
I mean, you're going to Virginia High School and you're coming through Virginia Middle, Virginia Intermediate, and Virginia Primary. I think it makes it easier to brand every school. For branding purposes. I just think it's a lot neater package with them all having Virginia in front of the name.
I agree. Ooh, we got louder.
So what is the recommended name?
So Stephanie, if you will pull up, wow. Stephanie, if you'll pull up that's good. If you'll pull up board docs, and can you zoom in on that?
Can't get it on my computer.
Can you zoom in on that, Stephanie, to make the screen larger?
Just say the name.
It's Virginia Intermediate and Virginia Primary.
Virginia Intermediate, Virginia Primary.
Right.
No Bristol involved in that.
That's not, no, it was just.
One thing, don't know how close to get. One thing that was brought up in some of the survey comments was that if we named it Bristol, Virginia Primary School, that the initials for it would be BVPS, which are the same initials as our school system, which I thought was a fair point.
I think Bristol ought to be in the name since Bristol's paying for it.
Is Bristol part of the official name for the middle or the high school? So if we're going to put Bristol in the name, I would think we need to rename all 4 schools. And I think that would be a prohibitively expensive project. But
Well, I understand what putting Bristol in front of it does. It separates us from things that happen at a Virginia high school, not the Virginia high school. But I shared this with you guys, I think. When I was in school, Tennessee High wore Bristol on their jerseys, and I just can't. I just can't do that. I just can't do that. Petty or rivalry, whatever you want to call it.
So you want us to buy jerseys?
No, we're good. We're good. No. I just don't want to, just copycat what somebody else has already done.
I'll say I'm sorry for not supporting the change of Bristol in front of the name, because I know that's a pain for you all when you get those phone calls, and I feel bad about it, but I just don't want to rename the middle and high school too, because I think that's probably not the best use of our dollars. Sorry.
Well, naming our schools by the state and nothing else is a confusing thing for people out of town. Virginia High School. Well, there's Virginia Episcopal School, there's the private schools up in Northern Virginia. But Bristol, Virginia High School, or Bristol, Virginia Middle School, Bristol, Virginia Intermediate School, that's definitive. There's no question about it. And it gives the nod to our hometown, my hometown anyway.
I guess my feeling is, I understand not naming this school after a person. I totally understand that. Can we name it after a tree or a flower or a river or a mountain or a valley? Make it unique. I guess that's my feeling.
And according to policy, the board can name it anything they want to, as long as it's not a person who's not died in the last 10 years. You can name it anything that you want to. My job as superintendent is to make a recommendation, and this is not one of those that I'm going to, be upset if you don't take my recommendation. My job is to make a recommendation. That recommendation makes sense, and it has support of, at least the people who answered the survey for the most part. And so, again, it's not a personal, that's, if you name it something else, Shady Brook or whatever, Long Crescent,
Well, and I'll just agree again with what Randy said earlier. I think from a branding, I think it's very cute to have the schools all be Virginia Middle, Virginia High, Virginia Primary. I like it a lot. And I think from a branding standpoint, it's very easy. Everybody's a Bearcat, and you go to Virginia, whatever level you're in. So I take your point that it's kind of boring, but I like it. So I think it's nice, and it flows together, and it's a good sense of community and transition from one to the next, and you're part of the system, and you just, flow upward.
Let's vote.
you may have just called the question.
Anybody have anything else? Ms. Jones?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes. All right, item 6D, approval of playground specialist equipment.
Dr. Denaberga, you want to share a little information about the RFP process? Very briefly.
It's going to be here till 11 o'clock.
Our committee entertained or heard 3 different companies present proposals for the 2 playgrounds, the playground at Bristol, Virginia Primary School, correct?
Just Virginia primary.
Virginia Primary, okay.
We still can't.
Virginia Primary, see, okay. And the new school, I'm gonna go with that. And so after looking at everything, going through the RFPs, the committee unanimously recommended the playground specialist to do the work for us. And I mean, a lot of that was based on the proposal, obviously, that they made with us, but there was a tremendous amount of knowledge when we had the presentations, the questions from the committee. This company really separated themselves with not only certification in safety requirements. Many of their employees were certified in the safety kind of certification they have to do, and their knowledge was really very, very good. And they had a separate definition of inclusive, which no other company had. They had a true understanding of inclusiveness, not just being accessible.
I will add, we are going to do this in 2 phases. Phase 1 will be putting an inclusive playground on the property at Van Pelt between the western end of the building and the picnic shelter. That's where that playground will go. We hope to begin that this summer and have it ready to go for our students this fall at a cost of approximately $150,000. The next summer, we hope to begin construction on the playground at Virginia Intermediate School. The current location for that is in the U, the courtyard between the 2 wings, and that is going to be an approximate cost of $500,000. And you're not voting on the cost, you're just voting that we use playground specialists for the services.
Do we have a motion?
I move we approve playground specialist equipment to provide and install our inclusive playground equipment.
I'll second.
Motion and second. Any questions?
So I'm glad it's all this inclusive playground equipment, right?
Yeah, inclusive.
What does that mean?
So what it means is that all students, regardless of their ability or disability, whether it be that they're hard of hearing, that they're blind, that they're on the spectrum, that they have mobility issues, they can play alongside their non-disabled peers.
Okay, got it.
Not just play by themselves, but the students can play together on the same equipment.
Good.
It's usually more fun, too.
See where Abingdon just did one.
Well, they're getting ready to start one.
Did I do a motion?
Yes, we need to call it.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
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 Yes. All right, item 6E, approval of exclusive beverage contract, VHS.
I will have Mr. Harper share information regarding this process.
First of all, I'd like to thank Megan Mangrum and the staff for going through the RFP process and making sure that we follow the rules. We heard from 2 companies. When it comes to vending, I'm sure you could probably figure out the 2 main companies, which the last time Coke Consolidated did not even bid. So they did come to the table this time with an offer. However, we've had a long-standing relationship with Pepsi, and when you look at the financial commitment that PepsiCo was willing to make to Virginia High School and Bristol, Virginia Public Schools, it really wasn't close. So we would like to continue that partnership with Pepsi with your blessing, and hopefully look for opportunities to try to grow it as we transition into a new school and continue to use our facilities for Parks and Rec or growing our Parks and Rec program or whatever, to grow that so it benefits all of the schools and selfishly our extracurricular programs as well.
Do we have a motion?
I move that we take that recommendation, go with Pepsi, Johnson City.
Second.
Do I have any questions?
I've got one. The power drinks or energy drinks, is that part of the vending?
So everything that we sell in the vending machines at school have to meet the school nutrition guidelines as developed. So you do see the Mountain Dew Kickstart, but that meets the, I don't know what the group is, but it meets the school nutrition guidelines set forth. And the kids really enjoy those. They are a big seller for us, but the certain energy drinks like the Monster, Rockstar stuff is banned by the VHSL and is not in
Okay.
anything that we sell.
Right, okay, thank you.
Anything else? Ms. Jones?
Yes?
Yes.
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 Yes. All right, item 6G, approval of granting superintendent permission to hire new employees between April 17th, 2023 and May 1st, 2023 in consultation with the school board. Do we have a motion?
I make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion is second. Any questions? Ms. Jones?
Yes?
Yes.
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 Yes. All right. That moves us into closed session. So, do you want to read us in?
Pursuant to Section 2.2-3711A1 of the Code of Virginia, I move that the board convene a closed meeting for the purpose of discussing the following matters: discussion of certain personnel, recommendation for employment, and resignations.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Ms. Jones?
Yes?
Yes.
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 Yes. And with that, we'll go to closed session. Thank you all for waiting us out.
Much less than yesterday. Bunch of logs, house
Stephanie.
firewood around.
Stephanie can do it before, yeah. we'll do it before we see. Tell Stephanie, she's the one that's hyped it up. Okay.
I jumped in the pool yesterday.
Right. Yeah, is it? It's all right.
I'm not trying to be.
No, listen,
I couldn't hear.
It's no, it's really, you know me, I don't.
And the one thing I did not do is I did not, on that one policy, I didn't put all the field in parks because we already had it in place. But, which makes it even harder.
meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting, and only such public matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were considered.
We have a second.
Second.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
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 Yes. Do we have a motion to approve attachment A?
I make a motion to approve attachment A.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Ms. Jones?
Yes.
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 Yes. So we have the Teacher of the Year tomorrow, Golden V on Thursday, and then is it the following Thursday? It's at the elementary school, the regional meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, the following Thursday at Oak Point Elementary.
Yeah.
There's a pre-K performance at Van Pelt on Thursday. I mean, it's that time of year.
There's prom.
If you want,
We
yeah,
got
prom the
prom.
following-
What'd you say? Oak Point?
Oak Point Elementary.
That's nice.
That's the. That was either gonna be the Dip Dog School or Oak Point, and so that's what they read.
So, but it's already used, we can't use it. Does anybody have anything else? Meeting adjourned.